Good evening, one and all. Welcome along. It is Season 5, Episode 8. Tonight I'm joined by Paul and by Sleeping Beauty himself down there in the bottom, Jamie. How are we both doing, gentlemen?
A lot better than last week, I'll put it that way.
Absolutely. And the comments already coming in from people. So, as always, folks, if you have comments, if you have thoughts about the weekend's game, make sure I get your opinions in. We will pull them up as they become kind of relevant to what we're talking about. If your comment doesn't come straight up, we do have a flow that we're trying to get them up in, so don't worry. Paul, give us your initial thoughts.
Vast improvement compared to last week. Obviously, we kind of talked about this in the group chat. Like, it wasn't the perfect performance, but it was a significant improvement in terms of they managed to get the big boy pants on and actually get out there and perform. Defense played balls out. Like, I mean, I don't know what your view on this is, Brian and Jamie, but I kind of looking to look how other teams have dealt with New England right now. We've been the most dominant against them. Like, they did have Gonzalez, they did have Christian Balmer in the team and stuff like that, and we still managed to put only let them put 38 points on them, and we allow them to score 3. Whereas when it comes to like New England playing Philadelphia, New England could have beat Philadelphia in that game. So I'm thinking it from that kind of perspective, where it's like, you know what, like, there could be one of those unlucky teams that they just depends on their day. They may show up or whatever now, but I'm not going to complain. We beat Bill Belichick, who's been like, that's his biggest ever defeat in his coaching career in the NFL. So, but yeah, I'm just like, I'm very happy with the performance, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think after the week before, the defense needed to make a bit of a statement, didn't they? I think we got that. For me, the running game was a little bit on the weak side. I expected a lot more. Red zone, the efficiency wasn't great, but because of the scoreline, I'm gonna say the scoreline that it came up to. It was a little bit like the Jets, where it was just let's just take the points. The game was pretty much done by halftime anyway, so no point risking anybody. And then, just to top it off, do you know what I mean? And I don't care that it was a 2-point conversion. I'm taking it as a touchdown, but my boy Chauncey got himself a score. I'm taking it, and then Jake Ferguson as well. Do you know what I mean? He had a decent game, and also, there's still, like Paul said, there's still room for improvement, but it was a hell of a lot better to watch than the week before.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's the thing about it, is that, like, a couple of days removed, like, my view, which I had on Sunday night, was I was quite disappointed. I felt the offense misfired. It hasn't changed that much, but, you know, like, you have games like that, like, but and I think it's kind of the concern that some people are bringing up. Lebarski has said it here, happy to get the win, but still major concerns.
Yeah.
I think Joe has said it, you know, beat the best coach in the league. Sorry, there was someone else. I know some, but like, Jamie, you alluded to it, red zone issues, Paul, you've kind of said, there are concerns, and that's kind of where we need to address, and like not trying to jump too far ahead into pre-game on Thursday. Obviously, we're playing the San Francisco 49ers. And maybe they needed this game and they're going to start firing for that game. Do you know?
Perhaps they might open up the playbook a little bit more. Who knows? Because I still kind of feel as though we're not really expanding out this West Coast offenses more than we actually have been, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
But the concerns with red zone is still a concern. We were 1 for 5.
Yeah.
I mean, we eventually did get a touchdown, which I'm happy about. That might actually ease off the stress a little bit. Like they eventually got it, but again, we're going up against San Francisco next week. That's going to be a tough ask. We all know that. We're going into the game as the underdogs, so that might actually play into our favor, let people doubt it, and it might actually elevate the offense to go forward. Because you saw Dak's comments after the game, talking about San Francisco last year and stuff like that, and he actually took a really quite a what's the word? Quite a reaction towards the press member who asked that question. So he's fired up for sure. But in general consensus in terms of this game, like defense were back to where they should have been. Like it's dominating.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like, so without Trevon Diggs there, DeLone Brand had a great game. He had a fantastic game. It doesn't matter if it's Mac Jones or Zach Wilson, doesn't matter who the quarterback is. He was there at the right place at the right time, as any player should be, exposing these quarterbacks and making these plays. So I think overall, defensively, I couldn't ask for anything better, but I do agree with both of you in terms of the consensus of our offense. There is still a lot of work to be done. But in the positive notes of our offense, we are moving the ball up the field. We are getting ourselves into point scoring situations, but we're just not making it. Like it's like, think of it like football, like not like normal football soccer for us. It's like your defense, your midfield can move the ball up front, but you don't have to finish the article in the 18-yard box. That's kind of what it feels like in a little way sometimes. Like we can score the long range free kicks and the set pieces essentially, but we can't score like a header within the 6-yard box type of thing, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think of a weird comparison here. So that's kind of what it feels like. It's like we're just not that good at the short range, but we can actually we can deliver when it comes to the big plays further back the field.
Just to add on to that, the kicker is still 100% as well.
Brandon Aubrey for the dub.
Got to give him some love for that, man.
Yeah.
In Aubrey we trust. I keep saying that.
You do. Like, I mean, this was kind of the point. Paul, I think your head was melted at about 1:30 on Sunday night. That I was kind of, myself and Mike were going back and forth, and we were
I clocked out, guys. I clocked out. I was just like, it's like, guys, just get on a phone call and talk about it because the text messages were just getting ridiculous.
I'm just glad that my phone on mute.
Wouldn't have woke you, Sleeping Beauty.
Well, yeah, 8:30 we're gone.
But like, as I was kind of saying, and you kind of agreed with me a little bit, is, like what we want to see from this team is it's that execution, because
it's the final fifth. It's the final fifth. Like we're like when you look at that stats in terms of how he's actually thrown the ball from the next gen stats.
Yeah,
you couldn't ask for anything better. But in terms of the passes that were dropped and stuff like that, it's all in the red zone. So I wouldn't say it's a Dak problem, which seems to be the media right now. That's what it's saying. It's more to I don't know if it's just the short space that our tight ends and our wide receivers are getting themselves into. They're not creating enough separation right now. So they need to do better. CD needs to do better. Lamb, Shoemaker, Ferguson, Crooks, Tony. Yeah, even during the run game, the run game, I did feel again when you look at the stats again, like what was it? Was it like 124 yards or something like that? He got like Pollard.
Who's that?
Was that Pollard? Yeah.
No, he less than 50.
Or was that the total yards?
Total, maybe, yeah.
Total yard, right.
And most of that was Cavante Turpin's jet sweep.
Yeah, that's probably what it was then. Right, okay. Yeah, like, so the run game, yeah, it did lag down a little bit. There was a bit of a lack of conviction, especially trying to hit, like, and I think with the injury to Dodo kind of dampened that a little bit, because he is pretty much your build train pretty much essentially for the run game right now. Yeah. Cheers. Shout out to Mark Anthony. Yeah, just to clarify that 124 yards total rushing there. So much appreciated, Mark, and appreciate you always coming on to the show and giving us your wisdom on the comments. But yeah. Again, I can't. At the same time with New England, they were predominantly a run defense in a way. So I can't be too mad, but at the same time, I'm just overall happy at the fact that we did get the win. We did get points. We did get points on the board on offense with Lamb, and we did get one in the red zone with Hunter Lupke as well. So, so either way, that there is positives, but at the same time, there is that little drag. It's bringing that consistency. Just like if now we've actually hit that mark, it's a matter of just keep going forward with that now, I think. And what more and to test that against a team like San Francisco, who are undefeated right now.
Yeah. Jamie, I'm going to throw this question to you. Lebarski has said it. I don't know if you're putting in these questions. As I say, we've never seen you and Lebarski in the same room. But is it player execution or is it poor play calling in the red zone? Or is it potentially both?
It's both, isn't it? Mike Chapp's going to call the plays that's in there, but then also Dak's seen it on the field. So I think it all depends if Dak's got the kind of the authority, so to say, to kind of change the play at the line of scrimmage, or depending on when the game's on, calling a timeout and saying to him, "Look, I'm seeing something a little bit different." And then also, you could call out the coaches that are sat up in the boxes as well, because they're seeing what they probably got a better view than anybody of how the opposition defense are lining up. Yeah. So I think you've got to place the blame on everybody, just for the fact because it's that whole saying, innit, win together, lose together. So you've got to take the equal share when it comes to play calling and execution and all.
Like one of the questions I kind of had coming out of it was, and like Paul, you kind of nailed it. I don't think this is a Dak Prescott issue.
It's not. It really is not. Like, I mean, he's got the fewest interceptions in the NFL, for goodness sake. Like, he's got less. He's got less than Mahomes. He's got less than Josh Allen right now. What more? Like, and he's moving the ball upfield. He's making the right passes in terms of getting the ball up to the right situation. It just seems to be, and when it comes to doing the red zone offense, when you look back at the game films, but in particular the Cardinals game, like that was kind of forced his hand where he had to escape the pocket, he had to try and go away, but the wide receivers and the Titans were not really helping him that much. They were too caught up. They were getting double coveraged. They were getting the man marked to the high heavens. And that was either had to force the ball into tight areas which he didn't want to, or he had to throw the ball out of bounds and make it an incomplete pass type of thing and just waste down a down. So I don't blame Dak in that regard at all. And I think the criticism on it is just so unfairly justified. I really do. And this is not being us being as Cowboys fans. It's just it always seems to be. If it was Tony Romo or it was Dak Prescott or even going back to the Detroit Aikman days, like it doesn't matter if you're like, it just seems to be anyone but the Cowboys. And I know it sounds like I am being favoritism here towards my team here, but I'm trying to be impartial as much as I can, give credit when it's due. But when you're seeing like Josh Allen, who's not been playing elite compared what experts say, in comparison to what Dak's been doing, I'm like, are you been watching this? Then you've got like Tiki Barber, who's a freaking idiot. And Jamie, I know you made a comment about that as well. I think obviously Tiki Barber thinks Daniel Jones is heads well above than Dak Prescott. Yeah, don't worry, Mark. This will probably be the last time we will ever do talk about it. We'll probably, in fact, we might just use it to use that as a reference to say, let's just not you be in that state ever again. So, but TK Barber is a good example. Talking about how Daniel Jones is levels above Dak Prescott. I'm sorry, but did anyone not see that game last night? He was freaking god awful. Like,
I mean, what being a homer in him, being a Giants guy. I mean, I think part of it's like it's homer, but it's also it's not to be much a douche, but it's like it's trying to create that controversy to get people talking.
It is. It really is. And you've got your Shannon Sharps out there who are celebrating a Cowboys loss, yet his team lost 70-20 the week before as well. It was like, hold on a minute here. It's like, you're supposed to be a sports analyst. Where's the impartialness? You're supposed to try and keep an open mind, try and think of the goods and the actual bads, not try and crap on one particular team, and say it like that. And it's so true what Mark just said. It's all for race. It's because, let's be honest, the Dallas Cowboys are the cash cow when it comes to TV ratings. This is why the teams that are always going to be on primetime TV as much as more than any other team right now. This is why the most richest franchise team, not in just American football, but in all sports franchises, more than Real Madrid in Spain, more than Manchester United in England, more than the New York Yankees in New York. They're the richest sports team in the world. I think it's like 7.8 billion or something like that in Forbes.
It's over 9 billion now.
It's over 9 billion now. Well, there you go. So that point taken, like that says all. People are just hating us just because they know they can make money off it. Simple as that. And I think it's just an absolute load of crap.
Like, I want to go back to two specific points in the game, Paul. Like, I was going to bring them up before I threw it over to you. Like, one play in the red zone was the throw to Shoemaker, which he didn't catch, right? That can't be blamed on Dak. And then the other one was Tony Pollard smashing straight into that. He was getting the ball on. Like, that is on the skill players themselves. That's not on Dak Prescott. They're individual errors. And it seems to be a case that there are some individual errors and there's a little bit of attitude in some of the players, which they haven't really earned. You know, they're a little bit of attitude and they don't like it. And I think they need to get it out of their heads before a good team really shows them.
Yeah, and this game this week will be a big test for them for sure. Like, they need to, like, I always kind of say this: humble minds always bring out the best in people. When you're too hot-headed above yourself, you're gonna dance with the wolves essentially.
Yeah.
And it was the pass to Shoemaker. You could not ask for anything better. Shoemaker should have done a hell of a lot better, but it's what it is. And again, if you look at the next gen stats, it was like, I think it was like 28 out of 34 passes, a passer rating of 101 point something. I mean, and the over 200.
108.5.
What? So 108.5.
Yeah.
Oh, even better. What was his total yards for passing?
261.
261. I mean, that's a good day in the office when you look at it from that view. But again, he was kind of like that kind of puts a shy on Dak's performance due to the fact his skill position players were not catching the ball when it really mattered. And that's really did come to. So the scoreline could have been 50 burger. The scoreline could have been more than that if that was the case, if we actually put all those other points on the board. Thankfully, we did put points on the board because of Brandon Aubrey. Thank God. Yeah, but you get the point. It's like it should have been, rather than being for 3, it should have been for 7. You know?
It's just, as we say, it's about that execution.
Exactly.
Playing at that level that San Francisco and that other team we're not going to ever talk about.
Yeah.
You know, it's playing to that level. But look, we're nearly 20 minutes in, so like, I mean, I suppose let's kind of talk about the news and the updates. Like, I mean, again, Tyron Smith didn't dress on Saturday. Zach Martin came out of the game with a bit of bruising. Rico Dowdle has re-injured the hip he had last season, which resulted in him ending up on IR. I mean, I kind of said this to you guys over the weekend. Is it time we moved on?
Yeah.
I know it's painful to say, but we can't rely. Like, I know, like, when he's on the field, you can rely on, but you can't rely on Tyron Smith to actually get on the field. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, when he's on the field, great, but how many times do we need? Like, when I'm trying to recall, when was the last full on 16 to 17 game a season that Tyron Smith played? Was it not like 2012? 2016? That's
14,
7.
it could have been before that.
Well, either way, at least 7 years. At least 7 years. In fact, I'm kind of mentioning. I will look it up, but if you want,
Jamie, give us your thoughts on it, because Lebarski is kind of saying, it's been time for a couple of years. Joe was saying should have moved on 2 years ago. You kind of, like, I barely had the sentence out and you were going, he should have been gone.
It's starting to feel a lot like Sean Lee.
Yeah.
And that's not to knock it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a tough sport. You know what I mean? They're putting the body through everything, but it got to the point, didn't it, with Sean Lee, where it was like it pretty much needed wrapping in bubble wrap. And I think if you look back through some of the shows from well over a year ago, we've all said it at different times. Look, it's got to get to the point where the Cowboys have got to say, look, enough's enough. We've got to move on. We're looking at Tyron Smith for what he is and not what he was. But also, you've got to think of his health after football. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be the main focus. I mean, he's got a family. Everyone retires at some point or other, so it's gonna come in, if it's, regardless if it's injury or if it's age. Yeah. And he's got to think of next steps after football. And I just think it's time now. He's been immense. Arguably, when he's healthy, the best tackle in the game. But it's just, like I say, he's just breaking down now. It's I think I said it last week when he was dressed, and I know I think it was Mark put out there that we obviously have to dress 8 linemen, but it's, why dress him if you know he's not going to play? Why not bring somebody up from the practice squad? He's likely not going to play, but if you've got to throw him in, you've got someone there. You've got 8 linemen. That's what you're essentially going into that with. What is it? You're going into that game with 52 players. You're dressing someone that can't play.
Yeah.
So I've got the stats here, guys. So Tyron Smith is now going into his 13th season in the NFL, being with the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, been drafted in 2011. Since the 2016 season, he's not featured in a full-on season. 2016, 13 games. 2017, 13. 2018, 13. 2019, 13. 2020, 2. 2011, 11 games. Last season was 4 games, and currently he's only played 2 games this year. But bear in mind, in 2012 he did miss out 1 game, but I think he was actually rested for that game. So But 2011, 2013, 2014, 2015 was the only full seasons he's had. Out of those 13 seasons, he's had 4 full seasons out of 13.
Yeah.
4.
I think you've got to look at the amount of money we're paying him as well to be on the sidelines, and it's ridiculous. Like I say, especially in a salary cap sport, it's like I say we can't get a full season. We can't even get double digit figures out games out of him.
The last digit game season we got out of him was in 2021.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not good enough, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad in the way that Tyron did he not do a new contract restructure where he was getting paid to actually play rather than actual salary? Is that what it's kind of done now? Is that what I'm led to believe?
Yeah, I think you're right. Like I think, and Lauren generally is better on this kind of stuff. I think.
Yeah.
I think this is Tyron's last season with the Cowboys.
It has to be.
I think his contract is voidable after this season. And I think, as you say, Paul, they kind of broke down the contract a little bit more to be team friendly this year. So I mean, it's not that we're not trying to crap all over Paul or Tyron at all. As Jerry always says, the best ability is availability, and we can't rely on that with Tyron Smith.
No, we can't. We can't. As much as we really do want him on the field and how much we do love him.
Yeah.
Like he's probably one of the most dominant left tackles we've ever seen, but when he's actually on the field. But the problem is he's now got that. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do my math here. 9 seasons. He's not had a full out of 13. He's not had a full season. It's a concern.
Yeah. Like there are comments coming in. I mean, Joe was saying I would take 13 games any day. Tim has kind of said they could use him as a backup position if he wasn't making so much. Like it's just that thing. It's availability.
Yeah. And the problem is we've got right now, and this is going to be how willing and strong our offensive line is going to be going forward. Is is our numbers with a new offensive line. We've got Asim Richards, we've got Chuma Ododa, we've got Brock Hoffman and TJ Bass. We've basically got 4 backups right now. Like obviously Willetsko and Josh Ball are on the IR right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they were to get elevated, then obviously someone else from the different part of the roster somebody's moving. At least we've got that in a way, I guess. But at the same time, 4 backups is not really necessarily enough, because the more I always say this, the more O-line you have, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we move it on, look, let's talk about. Or sorry, before we do move off the injuries. Had to come out of the game. Looks like it is another hip issue, which resulted in him going to IR this year or last year. It could be IR again.
I'm absolutely gutted for him, because he was actually looking so promising, Rico Dowdle. Like,
we'll get some luck one day.
What's that, Jamie?
We'll get some luck one day on the injury front. I don't know when, but we'll get it.
Yeah.
Every team has it, though. Every team has it. But it's the positions that we actually really need it the most. We seem to get hit by the most.
Always seems to be the same as well, doesn't it? Like, never across the board. It's always, always seems to be offensive line, or like not saying they're not another main position, but like you say, it's always seems to be left tackle, and it's just like sometimes on the defensive line. It's like, gosh, just give us a break for once.
I'm liking Lebarski's comment here. He said, at least we've Luke Schoonmaker and Mazzy Smith, when we could have wasted one of those picks on an offensive lineman.
It's hard. It's easier to say that now, to be honest. It is. Like, I think, well, this is my personal opinion, and we shouldn't be thinking about next year already. We shouldn't be, but you can't help not think that we do have to look as though we might have to start going for O-line back in the first round again, like getting Tyler Smith in there as well. So we might have to double down on it. But there is other positions in need as well. We might go linebacker next year. We might go offensive line. Who knows? But hey ho. But we still got 13 games left this season. So there's still a lot of football to be played. Who knows? Tyron might play the rest of the season when he comes back. Who knows? He might surprise us. He might play the playoffs. Who knows? We just need to wait and see.
Yeah.
And even that, like Rico Dowdo as well. Like, we don't know the extent of his injury. But yeah, hopefully he can come back, because when he was actually on the field, he was actually making some really like major plays for us, and he actually were certain plays where would have been a tackle for loss. We actually ended up getting a first down beyond 10 yards. Like, so, but just need to keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm just again, like, folks, get your comments in. Like, it's great what you guys put in, because Mark Anthony has said the Dallas Morning Star is saying Rico's injury is not that serious.
That's
that
good.
The MRI is not showing serious damage.
Excellent. That's good news. So we if that's the case, then we do expect to see Rico Dowdo back this season. So maybe not this game against Arizona, probably not. I'm not counting on it. I'd be surprised if he does. But maybe he might be back in time for the Philly game. Then great.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say though, Brian, because we could do with Rico Dowdo a bit of more power behind the run against this Philly defensive line.
Yeah, like, that's something I was thinking about yesterday, Paul, and I was thinking in depth about this, and it's my thing that I said this collectively to all of you in the group. Tony Pollard, I'm not re-signing him for next season, because Tony Pollard, as you're kind of rightly alluding to, does not have the ability between the tackles. If Tony Pollard is not going
outside of
the tackles, he's not making yards. And we can't afford to carry two good running backs and have one that's going between the tackles, like Zeke did last year, and one going outside of the tackles, because outside of Dowdle, we don't have that guy. Maybe Lukey will be that guy, but it's not on him.
At the same time, though, Brian, it could not. It could be the fact. It could be the O-line as well. Like, we're not creating enough blocking space to allow likes of Pollard to get through those gaps as well. So there was a couple of situations where the O-line did fall apart a little bit in this game. Like, there is, I will give a little bit of criticism that, like, just during the run game, there was times where Bayadish and even Tyler Smith kind of got a little bit caught off guard a little bit. So it's one of those ones. Like, if you had like your Lally Allens in there, man, you wouldn't have that problem. Like, a complete bulldozer of a guard in there. Like, don't get me wrong, Tyler Smith is a bulldozer, but I think he's still trying to find his feet. Still, like, he's doing a great job. He's doing like, I'm not dissing him, but I think he's still got a lot to do to be, because he played all of college playing mostly at left tackle, and he's now being shifted into left guard. I thought the whole process, the whole point of bringing Tyler Smith in was to have him as Tyron's replacement when he does eventually retire, and we would get someone else to be at the guard position. That might not be the case anymore. So if that's the case, and if we're keeping Tyler at left guard, then obviously he needs to build up a bit more strength, a bit more size as well to be more of a guard. So I think there is those elements needs to be like keep going forward with.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that comment, Brian, to be fair. I'm not I mean on yours, I don't mean Paul's, I mean just for the fact that what have we got after Tony Pollard? And that's no disrespect to Dowd, and that's no disrespect to Vaughan. But whereas we kind of had this debate towards the end of last year with the tight ends, but we got away with it because the two rookies started playing at a decent level where you was like, now we can afford to let the ones that were currently there go because we know what we kind of got. We don't know what we've got behind that, so then you're back to square one, really, like, because you've got this unproven offensive line. You've got a veteran quarterback that's still playing at a high level. You've got decent set of tight ends. You've got, you could say, decent depth for wide receiver. So then, why then hamper the running back position? Because then essentially, you might as well just blow it up and just do a full rebuild. But we know the Cowboys are not going to do that. The Cowboys, essentially, with a couple of good things, you could class the Cowboys as at least a deep run playoff contender.
It's a tough one, Jamie. Like, I mean, I do love Tony Pollard, I really do, but we can't just have
anybody out there better than him.
No, well,
and then also, like I say, what you mentioned about the issue with the like, what's more of an issue for us, the O-line or running back? I would say offensive line. So I'd rather use that first round pick on an offensive lineman than a running back.
And that's the thing, though, Jimmy. You can get good, decent. Like, I apologize to our listeners right now. We're thinking way too far ahead here. We should be thinking about the post game still, but it is kind of in relation to the post game. Like, Pollard from week 1 to 3 has been good, but up against a more stellar, tight defense in the middle, that's when he's going to get. But I will say, though, every running back is going to have that issue. There's going to be one team you're going to hit that wall with. And Tony got that with New England. Is he going to hit that with San Francisco? Maybe not in the inside, but I would definitely say he's going to have a more problem running in the outside when you've got like some Nick Bosa and stuff like that there. So, and when it comes to like the Schmeedles, I like to call them, they've got all aspects of that defensive line pretty much covered, really. And that's me being very complimentary to them. They do have a good defense, Philly, and we can't shy away from that fact.
Yeah. Again, this does feed into some of my thoughts coming out of the game. Lebarski is saying it here. I love Deuce Vaughn and love the story, but he's not a number 2. Like, literally, that game we found out Deuce Vaughn is not going to be able to do what he did in college in terms of escaping through offensive lines and defensive lines. The game is bigger, harder, faster, and tougher, and I just don't think he's going to make it.
I think you've got to give him a bit more time, just for the fact that he's not getting a lot of snaps, is he? Really.
And it's straight out of college. He needs to put some more size on as well. Yeah. So, I mean, it was like, I'm just trying to think of all the other running backs out there. They didn't really have a good rookie season, but they always kind of like, after a year or two, having a good off season, they built up a little bit and had a much better career. I think that might be the case when it comes to Deuce Vaughn, but who knows? Again, we're spitballing here.
Yeah.
So,
I say when you come across and not to take it to a different position, but like the pick of Matthew Smith, everyone's saying is a first round defensive player. You've got to give him maybe till end of year 2, start of year 3. Well, then why not give that to a 7th round rookie running back? He's obviously essentially going to get a lot less playing time than Matthew Smith's going to get. So you're not really going to see what he's getting, what you've got in him. I think, like you say, he's probably not next year either. He's probably not going to be a 2, but it could be a great complimentary back and have him there and then go find a bruiser for those bruising running backs. Like a bit like I was always disappointed that Boss Garvin never kind of came on because that's what he was like in college. So like somebody like that. So you've got your 2 change of pace backs, and then you've got your big bruiser to pick up the sloppy yards towards the end of a drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, Exactly, Elizabeth. Elizabeth nails that in the coffin there. We knew that about Zeke. Zeke was the powerhouse of the running backs. He was the one who's getting all the dirty yards. He was the one who was actually getting the shoulder pads in between the crevices of the defensive front, getting those first downs, going on those short yardage. And if lucky enough, he would have a big breakaway and he would actually nearly go to the house. So, and where it comes to Tony Pollard, a completely different dynamic. He's got the more elusive speed, the more lateral direction. When Tony runs to the outside, you expect him to at least get like 6 to 10 yards per run or something in among that region. Like if he's run to the outside, if he gets past beyond the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. If we kind of look at some of the numbers here in terms of the offensive display, and we've kind of spent a lot of time talking about it, but Dak's numbers: 28 of 34, 261, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers.
Yeah. What more can you want from Dak? Seriously, what more can you want? Like Dak, Dak did his job, but again, media once again saying it's his fault. It's like, but he didn't do anything wrong. So how does that work? You tell me. Right, it's crazy.
Yeah, kind of looking down then, as I say, Tony Pollard 11 attempts, 47 yards. Rico had 3 attempts. I think Deuce had 5 or 6. Hunter had a couple and got in for his touchdown. Gallup had 5 receptions for 60 yards. CD had 4 for 36. And Jake Ferguson had 7 catches for 77 yards. I mean, was there anything in there that surprised you, Paul? I know you kind of talked about Lamb and his attitude last week, and he didn't seem to be too tuned in this week either.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I wasn't the only one to notice that. Oh God, Mr. Fourth and Long made the comment. Jesse Hawley made the comment. Yeah, he made the exact same comment on social media. He's like, is there something wrong with Lamb here? His demeanor did not seem right. So it's a weird one.
Yeah. Lubarski is kind of saying it's nice to see Michael Gallup getting involved. Like, Gallup has come on a lot in the last 2 games. I mean, I think he had 8 or 9 last week for over 100 yards. He had, as I say, 5 for 60 this week. Like, maybe is it a case, and it's going back to what I was saying earlier, the offense is just starting to chug along now. They're just trying to get that dirty petrol out. And it's just close to where you're just going to get that sudden burst of, right, we're ready, we're going to go.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the stats now for all the quarterbacks in the NFL. Dak is currently listed currently second, tied for second, in the NFL for the least interceptions, along with Bryce Young, Geno Smith, Jameis Winston, Lamar Jackson, Herbert, O'Connell, and Richardson. The guys that are actually with 0 are basically guys have just came on the field for 1 or 2 plays or are out for the season, like Aaron Rodgers, Andy Dalton, Tyra Taylor, Taysom Hill, and Cooper Rush, who's number 1, believe it or not. So, but again, you've got, looking further down the bottom of the list, Patrick Mahomes is second last in the NFL, along with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And you've got Jimmy G, Daniel Jones, Matt Stafford, Jimmy G, Daniel Jones are last. Third last. He's tied for third last, Mahomes and Allen. Then you've got Stafford, Fields, and Howell tied for second last.
Yeah. Again, Lubarski coming in with a great comment here. Jalen Tolbert has been awesome. Plus the tackle.
Yes. Wow. What a special teams play that was. That was fantastic.
Yeah. We said in pre-season that he was taking his chances by the scruff of the neck, and fair play to laddies.
Yeah.
So you take chances. The coach is going to have a lot more confidence in you. You're going to get on the field a lot more, see the ball a lot more. And he's running with it. Fair play to him. Long may this continue.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of writing him off after last season. I thought...
We all did.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, I think J-Tuck was one of the few that said, this is a guy, he's going to come on. You know, he's one of the few that had a lot of faith in him. And look, I'm going to eat the humble pie and say, I was wrong.
Yeah.
What was that?
I said, I was wrong.
Just shout out again because people in the back didn't hear either.
I was wrong.
You know I love you really, bro.
Absolutely. Look, guys, we're nearly 45 minutes into the show, and we haven't really spoken about the best part of the game over the weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about our defense. I mean, 2 defensive touchdowns. Deron Bland has more receptions for touchdowns than our whole lot, than anyone on the team. I mean, the defense really needed to show up after the previous week, and by God, they made a statement.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like, our biggest improvement was our secondary. I thought they were the biggest improvement by far. I mean, don't get me wrong. There was some plays where they did get caught off guard a little bit with Parker in particular, and with Jazeki, I believe.
Jazeki,
yeah. So there was 1 or 2 wee things there, but I think that just maybe a wee bit. I think it was more to do with Malik Hooker in 1 or 2 plays, but yeah. Overall, great performance. We did what we had to do, is get rid of that nightmare what we had the week before, come in with our heads clear and actually focus on the job at hand. So, what a difference. What a difference.
Yeah. I mean, some of the comments which are coming in. So Mark Anthony is saying, Mike Parsons is not of this planet. Again, Mark Anthony saying, you know, I mean, the defense showed up, they showed out. Micah didn't have the sack numbers, but I mean, what was it, 9 pressures he had on Mac Jones during that game?
Yep, like, 9 pressures.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you know? I'm just looking at the stats as well. Our leading tackler was Leighton Vander Esch, followed by Donovan Wilson. Then it was Damone Clark, Jordan Lewis, who actually had a really good game, to be fair.
Yeah.
DeLon Brand, 3 passes deflected with 1
2 interceptions.
2 interceptions with one taken to the house.
Yeah.
Yep. And how many sacks did we get? We got 2 sacks and 4 tackles for losses.
Yeah.
And you need him to step up, like you say. It's not always needs to be on Micah's shoulders or D-Law's shoulders. The rest has got to step up if this team's serious about getting far in the playoffs.
See, but here's the thing, though, Jamie. Here's the thing, Jamie. With regards to Micah Parsons, like, he is always going to be that guy in terms of the other teams. Like, and we saw, like, Micah knows that he is going to get special treatment from other teams. So, and this is what allows, like, Osa Digizua, and I will say as well, Mike Neville Gallimore, I thought he had a great game as well. I think that was one of his best games, and and Farrell as well. Like, did any of you guys see Neville Gallimore's get off to get to Mac Jones? Like, obviously, Mac Jones basically ran for his bloody life. He did throw the ball for an incomplete pass, but his get-offs were on point. This is exactly the type of Neville Gallimore I was expecting when we drafted him all those years ago. If he can continue that way forward, we're going to be absolutely solid in the free tech position with Osa and Neville in rotation. We're going to be really good at that.
The only slight thing, and I'll qualify this, Paul, is that both of those guys have to have a contract renewal at the end of the season if you want them to stay on, and I think they'll only keep 1.
Unfortunately, yeah, I do agree with you on
that. Lebarski is saying, again, Gallimore had a few strong plays. but Dante Fowler, Sam Williams both took advantage of the pressures in the double team on Micah Parsons, and both of them got home for a sack. And obviously, Dante Fowler's resulted in Leighton Van Der Esch's touchdown and fumble recovery and touchdown.
Defense was on fire.
They needed it, didn't they? Because they got an absolute roasting week before. And like I said, yeah, the Patriots every now and again, well, last couple of years since they lost Brady, haven't been the best of teams, but they've got to argue one of the greatest coaches ever to coach in the NFL. That always had the Cowboys number. So to step up and like I said, play the way they did was just unreal. Like I said, you essentially won the game without even the offense having to do much. And that's what you want. Some weeks, like I say, you don't always want your offense to be putting up 40, 50 points, because that means then your defense are absolutely screwing the pooch and they're not doing the job. But like I say, then we touched on the red zone issues. But because of how well the defense were playing, you could afford to go down there and just come away with 3, because you knew that the defense were going to get them off the field pretty much straight away. So fair play to them. Like I said, good test for him next week. I know, obviously, we're not going to touch on it, but you know what I mean? It's going now. Now we can see where their level's at.
Like, I mean, I suppose that's kind of the point to really discuss in terms of the defense has had a great game where a lot of things have gone right. And I mean, confidence breeds confidence. And look, we know we're facing one of the best offenses in the NFL in terms of who we're going to play this week. But I mean, I think it's better to come off a game where we've kind of dominated on defense rather than coming off the back of the Cardinals game and now facing the 49ers with confidence.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. I'm just trying to get all types of stats right now for the Dallas Cowboys defense. So
they're rolling through the screen there.
Oh no, I've got different stats here. I'm just trying to do like we're top whatever type of thing.
Yeah.
So in terms of points per game, we're number 1, giving up the least. We're 10.3 points per average over 4 games.
Yeah.
And in terms of points, again, we're number 1. In terms of rushing yards, we are 1, 2, 3, 4.
I just want to hold on a second on that one, Paul, because someone did say something about the rushing, and I want to bring it up. Tim has said here, not to be Johnny Raincloud, but I'm still not convinced about our run defense.
Yeah, I think we're not the worst. We're actually 16th in the NFL. Yeah, we're 16. We're averaging 111.8 yards. So the team with the least is Detroit, Philadelphia, and San Francisco.
Guess who we've played this season?
Yep. So it's going to be a tough ask this weekend, and if we end up getting the win, then at least we know that we played them against our best, and we actually deserve to get that recognition. That's what I will say in that.
And just some more of what's kind of coming in there. Lebarski is kind of asking, has Osa cooled off, or is he still getting the pressure rate he was? I mean, Osa had 3 tackles. He was your leading defensive tackle in terms of tackles made. You know, so I think he's doing his job.
Yeah, I believe so. I totally agree with you. Just because like there's the cluster of stopping the run, you've got 3 or 4 defenders all trying to do the exact same thing. It doesn't look pretty, but he's still doing his job. He's hitting his gaps. He's preventing the run. I think he's doing a great job also there. So I think this is his big season this year. So
yeah. Stats are always a bit of a blur for me because it never gives the true story of how well he plays or how anybody plays. So, somebody said it a few weeks ago. You can manipulate stats into telling a story that you want to tell without actually giving the true stories. Yeah, it does a lot more than what those stats give off. So yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. If he's going on there and he's causing havoc and he's giving that offensive line headaches, then cares if he gets all the sacks or he gets all the pressure, as long as he's creating holes for other people, then that's fine by me.
Yeah. Tim is kind of making the point here, and Labarski kind of comes back, so I'll give you both comments. It seems mostly as Micah goes, the defense goes, and the offense seems to feed off of that defensive play.
Yeah.
And Labarski then comes in and says, I agree with Tim. That's why Micah should be the one defensive player in serious consideration for MVP.
Yeah, I was going to make a comment about that. Why is TJ Watt still even being caught? Don't get me wrong, like TJ is a good player, but he's not playing the same level as what Micah Parsons does. He's forcing the issue getting onto him to allow other players to make plays. That's a playmaker right there, regardless if he's not getting to the quarterback or not. The fact is he's still grabbing the attention, still trying to get to the quarterback, but it leaves the door open for someone else to make the play. That's all different. Nick Bosa, same situation. He's just basically just doing what he's doing as being a pass rusher on the edge. So if anything, Micah Parsons is basically being all of those combined. I'm sorry, but Micah Parsons should be leaps above those guys in terms of votes, if you want to call it that, right now.
Yeah. Like, I think, wasn't that the thing last season that Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa won Defensive Player of the Year, but Micah Parsons finished second.
Yeah.
And Parsons had no first place votes, but had the most second place votes. You know, which it's just crazy talk.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And Joe was kind of saying, that, Parsons makes everyone around him better. And then the one comment I wanted to come to here from Elizabeth, who always comes in with great content. Parsons will be a distraction against the 49. So therefore, Sam Williams, Dorrance Armstrong, Neville Gallimore, D-Law, and Donovan will step in. We're loaded. So do you think, I'm not trying to jump too far into the game plan. I mean, that seems to be what we're getting is everyone else is getting the numbers, but it's all coming off that pressure that Mike is applying.
Totally agree. Like I say, he's who sets the tempo, and everybody else feeds off that. And to be fair, it might not always be Mike Parsons, like I say, as the off days, like everybody, but there's a good call there that can cause a lot of damage, and it'd be a good test. We saw him dismantle with the Patriots this week, so let's see what they can do. Arguably one of the best offenses in the league this week.
Yeah. And I mean, again, Tim kind of adding on to the points we're making, he's how many other players get used in as many positions as Micah is? I mean, if we look at it, and it is a new era of NFL football in that we have hybrid players. But I mean, Micah has lined up at middle linebacker, outside linebacker, defensive pass or
free tech, even as a free tech.
Yeah. He's played nearly every front seven position. He played a couple of snaps at cornerback last season. I mean, that's not, like Aaron Donald, Nick Bosa, TJ Watt, that's not comparable to what Mike is doing.
They're singular position guys. They really are. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm trying not to play favoritism here, but how can you say that playing at the singular position is more like Parsons, doesn't matter where you put him, he makes an impact. Like, how is that not more of a a reason to vote for him. Is like, it doesn't matter where you play him, he becomes an instant impact on the field. Where if you were to put TJ Watt as a free tech, if you were to put him as a middle linebacker, what you'd want to expect from him? What happens if you do that with Nick Bosa? You're not going to get his effective pass rush if you put him as a nose tackle. No chance.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, but there we go. Yeah, Micah does not have the position. He is the defense. He is the position.
Yeah. And, you know, again, Mark is coming in. Let's give some credit to Dan Quinn for his scheme and game plan.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's the one thing we've all been so happy about in the last two and a bit seasons is what Dan Quinn has done, how he built his defense. That's not, you know, letting him away with what happened against the Cardinals. But most of the time, Dan Quinn has his defense playing that well.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree, mate.
Mm.
Like, it's all about just keeping it consistent now. That's all about, like, for Dan Quinn, is making sure he just keeps that going week by week, not to slack off. And that's it. And then going back to talking about the offense is an improving every single week, eliminating those mistakes and get the execution right. If we can get those two main things sorted, we can talk about potential Super Bowl playoffs, etc., and stuff like that. But until then, it's probably best to try and keep a level head and just try and take one game at a time, as the great Brad Sham always says.
Like you say, I don't know what Paul said today. The last thing you want is to play as well as a whole unit as they did this week. Game just gone, and then go back to the Cardinals game, because you end up you're already one game down in the division, and the Eagles, as much as we dislike them, are looking like they're going to be the team potentially in the NFC to beat, let alone in the NFC.
I don't know, Jamie. Like, they struggle. They struggled badly against Washington just there. They were lucky. They were lucky to win that, and against New England, they were. They
be 0-4.
They could have been an 0-4 team.
Yeah,
and you're already down again. So last thing you want to be doing is screwing the pugs like we did the other week, and then having to.
I know. I see what you're saying, though, Jamie. No, I agree with you in that one. Like, at the same time, though, like, we just need to make sure that we are anticipating the best Eagles or best 49ers team we're ever going to play, and play and rise to the occasion. That's all we need to make sure that we rise to those occasions and beat those teams and leave all the doubters say otherwise. So, as fans, we can slate that as much as we want. We can say, yeah, the Eagles could have been 0-4. They should have got beat by Washington based on their performance. But that's it. Yeah, it's true. And this whole talk about Jalen Hurts as well. Please.
$250 million for a running back.
Wow.
But obviously, look, we cannot finish tonight's show without talking about special teams, because we had a lot of special teams moments in this game. The last, I think it was 3 seconds of the first half, we nearly saw a 71-yard field goal attempt.
We were thinking about it, but I'm glad that we didn't. Like, I like to kind of preserve the perfection right now and not to leave any. If he didn't make that kick, I didn't want that to knock his confidence down a bit. So,
yeah,
I mean, he was 3 for 3. No, actually, it was 4 for 4. He scored 12 points, didn't he?
No, he scored 10.
Oh, yeah, the field goal.
3 field goals in it, or was it? Yeah. Sorry.
You're right. Yep, 3 field goals and an extra point. You're right. Yeah. So good day in the office once again for Mr. Brandon Aubrey. He is, again, proven me that he is probably the right man for the job, and it's been a great pickup from the Cowboys scouting team to get him from was it the USFL or XFL And and he's came on leaps and bounds, former MLS player, and he deserves every little bit of love right now. And let his confidence build up, keep building that momentum, and who knows, he could go on to do really great things for us.
Go
on, Jamie.
No, I was going to say, like, usually you would give the kicker the love. Let's say he's 100%. But come on, you know what I mean? We had a defensive player break the 40-yard dash record to get himself 2-point conversion. I mean, to make it even better, man, it was my man, Chelsea Golster, man. You know what I mean? It's like, how often do you see that kind of play happen? Like, it's like when you actually listen to the commentary back, they were like, "Oh, is it a botch snap?" And they actually played for it, and it worked out well. And to be fair play, because when it Aubrey that threw the pass as well.
No, it was Brian Anger.
Yeah, I mean that, and to say that's not his position, it was a damn good throw as well.
No, it was open. It was open space, Jamie. He didn't expect it. It was like, I will say though, from every single person on that PAT attempt to that 2-point conversion, they sold it perfectly. That was execution right there. Like, you managed to convince their special teams blocking team that you were going for the field goal in every way, shape, or form. Chancey Golston shed a light block to pretend as though they were blocking the outside. Then he decided to move out, and there you go, he just took it to the house for those extra 2 points. So it was beautiful execution, and our special teams coordinator deserves a lot of credit for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe was mentioning that the 49ers game is right on his birthday on October the 9th, and let's hope that they give me a birthday win gift.
I hope so, Joe. I hope so, my good friend. I hope so.
I believe that is also our own Rich Jones's birthday.
Oh, he'll be dunking and diving in the chocolate pudding if that's the case.
But just going back, as you guys were talking about there in terms of that 2-point conversion. And Elizabeth, belated happy birthday to you. It was Elizabeth's birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday. So 21 again.
21 again, Elizabeth. Fair play to you. But just going back, as you say, on the 2, that was scouting which had been done during the week. That they saw how aggressive the New England Patriots were off their right-hand side. And they kicked the first field goal to see if they were still being that aggressive, and then picked it up on the second attempt. Yeah. Like, they scouted it again. And, Mark Anthony is kind of adding in here, special teams out Belichick.
I like that one. That's a good comment. Like, you just got Belichick on Belichick. I like that one, Mark. Good comment.
Absolutely. But look, gentlemen, it is nearly time to wrap things up. So is there anything else you guys would like to talk about before we do?
I think we've kind of covered everything tonight, actually. Just overall summary. Happy we got the win, but there is still areas that we need to improve on, which are quite obvious. But in terms of moving the ball upfield to that, where the points that we are weak at, I have no problem with. But yeah, happy days.
I have a little bit of breaking news, gentlemen. This has just come in. Bradley Roby, the former Broncos cornerback, is signing with that team up in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
Yeah. So just a bit of breaking news that I'm seeing. So anyways, look, it is, before we do, let's pay the bills and get out of here. So Jamie, talk about the biggest event of the year.
Well, 7 weeks today, the UK Cowboys fans group will be out in Big D for the 2023 trip. We've got all sorts planned. The guys have been working non-stop to make sure it's going to be one to remember, even though we'll be drunk all the time. I'm assured by the guys well that there's a few surprises in there, but yeah, there is plenty of time to join in. If you want to come with us, hit us up on the socials or get in touch with our sponsors, Cowboys Experience, for any info or prices that you want to have a look at if you potentially want to join us.
So, Paul, I'll flip it over to you, and if you want to talk about our very good friends over at Cowboys Experience.
Yes, guys. So if you want to go and check out for game tickets, stadium tours, meet and greets, and much, much more, be sure to go and check out www.cowboysexperience.com. As you can see, you can get to meet likes of Jay Novacek, Micah Parsons, Zach Martin, even the legendary Drew Pearson. But also just to get a really good full advantage of the packages that Cowboys Experience do, be sure to use the code UK Cowboys. Because guys, what do you get?
Chocolate pudding.
No, God. No. You get free stuff included with your purchase, guys. So be sure to go and check it out. Contact Barry and Mike at Cowboys Experience for more information.
And make sure you ask about the chocolate pudding.
Oh, God.
Never go with that now.
Well, look, gentlemen, we are getting out of here, so I'm going to pass it over to you as I say good night.
TJ Watt and Joe Bosa are fakes.
Stay. Enjoy the rest of the week. If it's college football, it's the Red River rivalry. Go Texas, and then roll on the late game for the Cowboys.
Good night, all.